The Barmaid by Adelaide Anne Procter. Part 5 of The Holly Tree Inn. She was a pretty, gentle girl, a farmer's orphan daughter, and the landlord's niece, whom I strongly suspected of being engaged to be married very shortly to the writer of the letter that I saw her reading at least 20 times when I passed the bar, and which I more than believe I saw her kiss one night. She told me a tale of that country which went so pleasantly to the music of her voice that I ought rather to say it turned itself into verse than was turned into verse by me. A little past the village, the inn stood, low and white, green shady trees behind it, and an orchard on the right, where, over the green paling, the red-cheeked apples hung, as if to watch how wearily the signboard creaked and swung. The heavy laden branches over the road hung low, reflecting fruit or blossom in the wayside well below, where children, drawing water, looked up and paused to see, amid the apple branches, a purple Judas tree. The road stretched winding onward for many a weary mile, so dusty, footsore wanderers would pause and rest awhile, and panting horses halted, and travellers loved to tell the quiet of the wayside inn, the orchard, and the well. Here Morris dwelt, and often the sunburned boy would stand gazing upon the distance and shading with his hand his eyes, while watching vainly for travellers who might need his aid to loose the bridle and tend the weary steed. And once the boy remembered that morning many a day the dew lay on the hawthorn, the birds sang on the spray. A train of horsemen, nobler than he had seen before, up from the distance galloped and paused before the door. Upon the milk-white pony, fit for a fairy queen, was the loveliest little damsel his eyes had ever seen. A servant man was holding the leading rein to guide the pony and its mistress, who cantered by his side. Her sunny ringlets round her a golden cloud had made, while her large hat was keeping her calm blue eyes in shade. One hand held firm the silken reins to keep her steed in check. The other pulled his tangled mane or stroked his glossy neck. And as the boy brought water and loosed the rein, he heard the sweetest voice that thanked him in one low, gentle word. She turned her blue eyes from him, looked up and smiled to see the hanging purple blossoms upon the Judas tree, and showed it with a gesture half pleading, half command, till he broke the fairest blossom and laid it in her hand, and she tied it to her saddle with a ribbon from her hair, while her happy laugh rang gaily like silver on the air. But the champing steeds were rested. The horsemen now spurred on, and down the dusty highway they vanished and were gone. Years passed, and many a traveller paused at the old inn door, but the little milk-white pony and the child returned no more. Years passed, the apple branches a deeper shadow shed, and many a time the Judas tree blossom and leaf lay dead, when on the loitering western breeze came the bell's merry sound, and flowery arches rose, and flags and banners waved around. And Morris stood expectant. The bridal train would stay some moments at the inn door, the eager watchers say. They come, the cloud of dust draws near, mid all the state and pride. He only sees the golden hair and blue eyes of the bride. The same yet, still fairer. He knew the face once more that bent above the pony's neck years past at the inn door. Her shy and smiling eyes looked round, unconscious of the place, unconscious of the eager gaze he fixed upon her face. He plucked a blossom from the tree, the Judas tree, and cast its purple fragrance toward the bride, a message from the past. The signal came, the horses plunged, once more she smiled around, the purple blossom in the dust laid trampled on the ground. Again the slow years fleeted, their passage only known by the height the passion flower around the porch had grown, and many a passing traveller paused at the old inn door, but the bride, so fair and blooming, returned there nevermore. One winter morning, Morris, watching the branches bare, rustling and waving dimly in the grey and misty air, saw blazoned on a carriage once more the well-known shield, the azure fleur-de-lis and stars upon a silver field. He looked. Was that pale woman so grave, so worn, so sad? The child, once young and smiling, the bride, once fair and glad. What grief had dimmed that glory, and brought that dark eclipse upon her blue eyes' radiance, and paled those trembling lips? What memory of past sorrow, what stab of present pain, brought that deep look of anguish, that watched the dismal rain, that watched with the absent spirit, that looks yet does not see, the dead and leafless branches upon the Judas tree? The slow dark months crept onward upon their icy way, till April broke in showers, and spring smiled forth in May. Upon the apple blossoms the sun shone bright again, when slowly up the highway came a long funeral train. The bells tolled slowly, sadly, for a noble spirit fled. Slowly, in pomp and honour, they bore the quiet dead. Upon a black-plumed charger one rode who held a shield, where azure fleur-de-lis and stars shone on a silver field. Mid all that homage given to a fluttering heart at rest, perhaps an honest sorrow dwelt only in one breast. One by the inn door standing, watched with fast-dropping tears the long procession passing, and thought of bygone years. The boyish, silent homage to child and bride unknown, the pitying, tender sorrow kept in his heart alone, now laid upon the coffin with a purple flower, might be told to the cold, dead sleeper. The rest could only see a fragrant purple blossom plucked from a Judas tree. Thank you for listening to The Barmaid by Adelaide Anne Procter, Part 5 of The Holly Tree Inn. If you have enjoyed this audiobook, please consider subscribing and leaving a like to help in the making of future audiobooks, or for exclusive bonus audiobooks, and to see your name at the end of videos, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button on screen.